Most people think the way you get rich is by picking that hot new stock that's gonna go to the moon, picking that cryptocurrency, that meme coin, or sports betting or poly market, right? But realistically, how you really get rich is by doing the right things over a long period of time. And I know that is not sexy, but I wish someone would have told me about these 6 accounts that would automate my investment and wealth journey when I started working full time as an engineer 10 years ago. And I've been investing since then. But if I would have known these 6 accounts, I'd have financial freedom by now. But the number one account where you should start investing your money is your high yield savings account. And this, I know, is not really a big investment, but this is your defensive shield, right? So what do most people do? Most people, you tell me if I'm wrong or right. You might have a bank account with either PNC, Chase, Bank of America, right? And that's what everyone tells you to do. But what smart people do, they had their money in high yield savings account. I'm not sponsored by them, but SoFi, Ally, these are banks that I personally use. I think Capital One also has a good one, high yield savings account. But why is this the first account I mentioned, right? So one thing that really helps in life is if you have an emergency fund. Ideally, you want 3 to 6 months saved, right? And like when you invest in something like, let's say you invest in Bitcoin, but it drops down 40%, you're automatically gonna wanna sell because you had all your money invested in this asset and you don't have nothing for emergency in case your car breaks down or in case you have a baby or in case your life story, your sister starts a fire in your house, right? So you wanna have an emergency fund that you can use. But you probably already know you need an emergency fund, right? See, what banks like PNC, Chase do, they give you like 0.01% on your money versus high yield savings account on average, they might give you like 4%. So why is this important? So let's say you have 20,000 saved for 5 years. So if you got 0.01% on 20,000 over 5 years, you might make $20. But let's say you're getting 4% on that high yield savings account and you have 20,000 saved for 5 years. Then you'll get about $4,000, right? Because that's about 4% of 20,000 every year for 5 years. So basically what I'm saying is you have your emergency regardless, but why don't you get extra money for that, right? Let's say you have a job that gives you a 0.01 raise every single year and you have 100,000. Maybe that's like $100 a year extra, right? But you have someone give you 4%, right? That might be an extra $4,000 every single year that you would get. So which employer would you go? Would you go with employer A or employer B? You go employer B that's giving you 4,000 every single year doing the exact same work, right? So why would you keep your savings, your emergency fund in a regular bank account when you can go to a high yield savings account? Stop being a normie, okay? So number 2 is the account that you will need to open is gonna be a 401k. So a 401k is essentially just a retirement fund, okay? You put money and there's tax benefits. There's one where it's traditional, where you don't pay taxes on the money you put in now, but in the future, you pay taxes when you take it out. But it's tax-free for 65 to you're about 65. And what this does, it lowers your taxable income. Then you have a Roth 401k where you pay taxes now, but when you retire at 65 and you take your money out, you don't have to pay any taxes, okay? So all the gains you get is tax-free. That's the purpose of a 401k, okay? And so you're saving something for retirement. But what people don't talk about much is with the 401k, you have this tax benefit where you can take out your money tax-free or you cannot pay taxes now. And the good thing is a lot of employers will match whatever you put in, okay? So now you're essentially getting tax benefits and you're getting free money. Why wouldn't you take free money if your employer is gonna give it to you? So for example, right, one thing why you should have a 401k, let's say you just invest $100 every single month for 20 years, right? Essentially, that $100 you're investing for 20 years would become $72,000, right? And that's without an employer match, right? Most employers will match maybe 3%. If you're a good company, if you work as an engineer, you're probably gonna be able to get an employer that matches you 3%. So now, on top of that 72,000, if an employer is matching you 3%, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have 145K, okay? And that's an extra almost $70,000 of free money, okay? So why wouldn't you take that? So that's the second account. And this is one of the cheat codes because essentially you're putting money in and it's very hard to take it out because you're gonna get penalties if you take it out, which naturally makes you hold it for a long period of time. And that's where the real wealth is made. It's not just investing, it's constantly investing over a long period of time and letting your money grow for you. Number 3 is gonna be the high health savings account, the HSA. And this is like the triple threat account. Why do I say that? So what a health savings account is, essentially you can put money in it every single paycheck, right? And you can use it for health purposes. It's just for health savings, okay? But what you do get, you get a bunch of tax benefits. Why it's called a triple threat account? Because one, you get tax benefit off the money you're putting in. So the money you're putting in is not taxed. And then number 2, the growth is also not taxed, okay? And then the third thing is you can pay for any medical bills as long as you keep the receipts and it's not taxed, right? So this is if you use it for health purposes. So let's say you're saving $1,000 every single year, maybe in 10 years it grows to $10,000. Now you can use all that money tax-free for any medical expense you need, right? But the thing is, you can also invest your money in this HSA account. So like my HSA, okay, I put into Bitcoin and let it grow because I'm young, healthy, and I don't have that many health problems. So now I'm just letting it grow. And by the way, this is not financial advice. This is straight entertainment purposes only. The next account that you should look into is you should have yourself a brokerage account. So what is a brokerage account? Brokerage account is just an account you can invest in, okay? So you can use companies. I personally use Robinhood, Schwab, Fidelity, right? And so what you can do is you can get shares of companies, okay? So I can invest maybe $100 into Apple, into Microsoft, into Netflix, into Nvidia. These are companies that people are using every day, maybe Nike, Disney. I'm not recommending any of these, but this is where you can actually buy a share of companies, okay? And then you can do whatever investment strategy you want. Maybe you want to go for growth, so now you invest in big tech companies that are constantly growing in the AI movement, or you can invest in dividend companies. Dividend companies are companies where you buy the stock and then they pay you every single month for holding their stocks, right? Maybe you can buy some REITs. That's just a basket of real estate companies, right? And then you get a portion of their rental income, okay? You can buy IBIT, you can buy Bitcoin ETFs, you can buy gold ETFs, right? And one of the biggest cheat codes that most people actually don't know when it comes to brokerage account. So with your 401k, most of the time in 401k, you can only invest in certain funds, maybe S&P 500, VOO. These are just index funds that track the whole top 500 companies or the whole international market or the whole economy, okay? And a lot of them are mutual funds, bonds, but if you company offers something called a brokerage link, I know Fidelity, a lot of companies I worked for, they offer the brokerage link. So what you can do now is your 401k, you can invest it in individual companies if you wanted to, Apple, Nvidia, or if you just want to do ETFs, you want to do QQQ that mainly tracks tech companies, or if you want to do the semiconductor ETF. So like you can take control of your 401k and use a brokerage link. So now you can choose what you're going to actually invest into for your future, okay? So that's a quick hack. Just look into that, okay? Number 5 is going to be IRA. So the reason why IRA is really good, because one, there's options where you can get a Roth IRA. Depending on your bracket, I believe it's $7,000 you can put into it, right? But this is a retirement account for anyone can pretty much use it. But one thing that IRA does, it gives you a lot more control than the 401k. So now you can invest in whatever companies you want. You can even buy Bitcoin, you can buy individual companies, right? So that's one retirement account that you want to look in. The last account you want to have is your Bitcoin and cold storage. So that is the sovereign layer. And as you know, on this channel, I am a hard advocate for having Bitcoin because it's hard money. And this is the freedom money, right? This is the money that cannot be manipulated, right? This is the hard money. If you have a piece of the pie, it's always gonna no one can take it away from you, right? So one thing that people essentially understand is real estate. Why do they understand real estate? Because it takes economic work to build a house, right? It takes time. You have to get people to come build it. You need to buy parts, lumber, right? And you need to buy the land. So essentially, if all the land is taken up, like in New York, basically the prices go up because there's scarcity. And now Bitcoin is almost like the digital version of that, right? Because there's only a limited supply of Bitcoin that will ever be made. So if there's a limited supply and you own half of it, what's going to happen? Since you're never selling it, the price is naturally going to go up because it's scarcity, unlike dollars, right? So if you price stuff in Bitcoin, 10 years ago, it might have took you 1,000 Bitcoin to buy a house. 5 years later, it might take you 100 Bitcoin. Now it might take you 4 Bitcoin. In the future, it might take you 1 Bitcoin. 10 years from now, it might take you half a Bitcoin. But you want to get exposure to the new version of money, even if it's not 50% of your portfolio, 40% of your portfolio. You just want to have a piece of the pie. That's what rich people do. They buy every single asset, and asset prices always go up while the dollar value always go down. But you guys like this kind of content? Let me know what you guys want to see next, and check out this video right here.